in your jaw. Can
We're
I?
playing fucking Smushi Comes Home!
Can I? Can I? Can I put my balls in your jaw?
Hey Chris, can you believe that there's
Balls in your jaw.
can you believe
Can
there's
I?
a...
Can
there's,
I? Can I? Can I?
you done?
You're on.
Can you believe that there's an energy drink supplement called Mud Water that uses the fucking Cordyceps fungus?
Yes, if I recall, we had an in-depth conversation with this.
Yeah! But several... I mean, at this point, I guess I have to be thankful that my cat fucked up the recording, because we would have continued recording, and I would have never noticed that I was recording a completely different window. But just the TLDR, there is, like, what is marketed as an all-natural, like, caffeine supplement called Mud Water, spelled MUD \WTR, that is made with things like cacao, chia, chia and stuff like that, and it has the interest of like being made with a couple of different mushrooms, like lion's mane and cordyceps. Cordyceps being the fungus that zombifies fucking what's the word? Ants and shit, like bugs and shit. And is also the thing that causes zombie apocalypse in The Last of Us. In a hypothetically, you can eat cordyceps by cooking it, and it's not a big problem. But why the fuck would you? Anyway, first random fact.
Besides cordyceps fungus and mud thing, the first random fact is that Astro Boy's origin is that he was originally a human boy who was hit by a truck, and his father created Astro Boy using parts of his memories as like a replacement robot son. So, given that Astro Boy is considered one of the big common ancestors to all modern anime, this makes Truck-kun one of the very first anime tropes.
I was going to 100% make a joke about that. Actually, besides, you know, like, I thought you were going to talk about, like, hey, like, where did they come up with the idea for Astro Boy? And I think that's also kind of an interesting story, because who did Astro Boy? Astro Boy mangaka. Public magazine. Osamu Tezuka.
Excuse me.
A lot of his inspiration for like Astro Boy and like I believe some of his other manga comes from like like old Disney like comics, like what's the word, like the old DuckTales comics, you know those ones?
I think so.
Yeah, and what's the word? The inspiration from it can also be seen in the anime, where like Astro Boy and a lot of the other characters have like those really like shiny like eyelids when they do like up close like shots of it, because that kind of is in reference to a lot of like Disney animations where they had shiny eyelids and stuff. At least I think that's the case. I don't know if I'm talking out of my ass, but it feels like something that I've seen before. Next random fact: did you know that Taco Cat backwards is still Taco Cat? Chris is so shocked by this random fact.
Exactly. There was a baseball stadium organ player that was ejected from a game after repeatedly playing three blind mice in response to what he thought was a bad call from the umpires.
I think people get too heated when it comes to baseball.
The deepest building in Europe is located in Portugal, inside the Quinta de Regaleria, which is an inverted tower that is 27 meters underground, consisting of 9 levels.
Ooh. I like subterranean buildings and shit.
So 27 meters is roughly 3 feet, so it'd be, granted it's like 3.3 feet, but you're looking at, so 27, so you're looking at 82 feet, almost, like over 82 feet.
You know, what's the word? Sorry, I'm trying. I was gonna make a joke, but
Like 81. Yeah.
You know, when it comes to Neon Genesis Evangelion, you can fault Nerf for a lot of things, like gaslighting their child soldiers and just having child soldiers in general. But it was very smart and a good idea for them to basically have a system where they could just sink all the buildings into an underground cavern when fucking angels showed up.
You're dealing with threats coming from the sky.
Yeah.
World War II, the U.S. Army designed a grenade that was the same size and weight as a baseball so that American soldiers would have an easier time throwing it. The president's transition between Truman and Eisenhower was extraordinarily acrimonious. In their car ride to the Capitol for the inauguration, Eisenhower wondered out loud, "What SOB ordered my son back from Korea just to embarrass me?" And Truman replied, "I did."
I did, bitch.
Truman was an asshole.
Like a fun asshole, or
No, he was a.
Oh wait, what's the word?
Truman he was a horrible person.
Truman wasn't the president that called Oppenheimer a sissy for having feelings about his fucking
that was Truman.
Oh, that was Truman?
That was Truman.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah.
What was I about to say? Oppenheimer. I have deep regrets for making the atomic bomb because that was used on civilians that had nothing to do with the situation. Truman, I almost said a word that I can reclaim, but I probably shouldn't say in a video, so we'll just leave it at that, and up to your imagination. But yeah, no, fuck Truman.
Truman said when he was signing in Eisenhower, is "I am glad to be a part of this and wish General Eisenhower all possible success as he begins his term. I'm glad the whole world to see it will have a chance to see how simply and peacefully our American system transfers power from the vast leagues of my presidency to his newfound footsteps. It is a good object lesson in democracy."
Okay,
Aren't you all proud?
I don't know what dick Truman was trying to get sucked, but wasn't a lot of his, fucking, what's the word? Like, he was the president that was around after Roosevelt, right? Like, the second president that was elected during World War II, correct?
So, Truman wasn't elected.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, what
No,
do you mean he wasn't elected?
because Franklin Roosevelt died.
Oh!
And Truman took over.
So, what I'm hearing is that all of his,
all of Truman's accomplishments, the
aren't
vast
even
majority of
his.
them, were Roosevelt's.
Yeah.
And granted, like, you were probably giving Roosevelt too much credit, but like,
I mean, Roosevelt was kind of a dill.
Like a whole, like, I think we've talked about this previously when we were talking about like Oppenheimer, but like, yeah, the reason a lot of the stuff kind of went the way it did in regards to like nuclear escalation, I ran into, a lot of external factors, but it was like, you were dealing with a lot of the people who were not there at the beginning and didn't necessarily grasp the scale and the scope of what they were doing. They were just inheriting it and then doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do.
Yeah. Because Project Manhattan didn't start off like that, right? Like, the
actual plan was to bomb the Germans.
Oh, but
but they were wanting to, so the Manhattan Project was seen in many ways as a race. Because like the Brits were working on it a bit, the Soviets started working on it after the Americans, the Germans did it, but like the Germans and the Americans, the Germans started a little bit earlier, but it was like, because a lot of the people who worked in the Manhattan Project, surprise, surprise, were former scientists from Germany.
Yeah.
Either they were Jewish and they had to flee, or they were, the turncoats from Nazi turncoats. Anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna be real honest. Like, at the end of the
day, course, a lot more of the Nazis working for the U.S. came after World War II.
Yeah. I wouldn't say
the few that like worked during World War II, they were actually turncoats. They were the ones who actually were like, yeah, no, fuck this.
Okay, I see what you mean. As compared to the Nazis who, the Nazi scientists who, after the war, it was more like hey, I'll give you all of my research if you pardon me of my war crimes.
How can I avoid being sent to prison for the rest of my life? I can persuade you.
I can persuade you with new surgeries. How'd you learn these new surgeries? Through disgusting human experimentation.
When the rockets go up, who cares where they come down? So says Werner von Braun.
I didn't know Project Manhattan started off as like a plan to bomb the Germans. I did not know that. So then I guess like once like what's the word? Like it's like Project Manhattan and the atomic bomb were really just like here's our dick and here's how big it is at the end of the day, wasn't it?
Not the Cold War.
When Hitler got assassinated, like World War II was kind of winding down at that point, right? Like
was Hitler assassinated?
I mean, sorry, my apologies. When Hitler killed himself like a little bitch, is that better?
I was like, who was the assassin?
Himself. He couldn't take it anymore. But I guess at that point, like, yeah, like the atomic bomb was just a like slamming the hammer down, like, hey, we have this, because like wasn't World War II kind of winding down when Hitler died?
So, the war in Europe had ended. For the most part. And then You had the war in the Pacific still raging. Japan, there's a lot of debate you can have, and I am not a historical expert, at least in regards to most of human history.
Yeah.
My focus is on the Pleistocene. Anyway.
Yeah, in regards
Japan was very much still, but they were, I guess to use a crude analogy, they were a ship that was sinking.
Yeah.
Now, were they still going to do all kinds of... Probably. Did that mean that we needed to drop the sun on them twice? No. Now, there's a bunch of arguments, there's a lot of stuff about, if we hadn't dropped the bombs, we would have lost untold millions in land invasion. But there's also the thing of fire bombings may have had the similar effect of the nuclear bombs.
Without the added...
Without, nuclear
fallout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, I might play this game by itself at some point. This is really fun, I say, as we're talking about fucking nuclear bombs and shit. I know, every time we talk about Oppenheimer, I, make fun of it just a little bit, but Oppenheimer was definitely a really interesting watch for the portion that we did watch.
Yeah, so Oppenheimer very much has, classic World War II movie vibes that your dad would like, except for all of the sex scenes.
I mean, hey, if I can still hallucinate Oppenheimer getting into a bisexual three-way, I'm fine with that. Zach, shut up. Sorry, but it was the movie was really interesting, and honest, when the bomb, when the bomb testing finally happened, and it was very chilling.
I mean, it's left a marker on Earth that literally, we literally can't radiocarbon date things after the 1940s anymore.
Yeah,
we literally can't. You can't radiocarbon date things.
How do I put... in a lot of, movies that take place around, World War II, and, they're not even, solely focused on the war, anything that is, based around World War II, it's yeah, USA, no matter how bad, shit goes in the movie, but, with Oppenheimer... It really hits you oh shit, the thing that they did is fucked up. Am I making sense? The movie...
obviously, the phrase is we dropped the sun on, it's supposed to be indicative of blinding light, but nuclear energy was something previously done at the core of stars, and we managed to do it on Earth. And the first thing we did with it was destroy.
Yeah.
We took something that had the potential for infinite creation.
We
immediately used it to destroy.
We sped run fucking the power of the harnessing the power of the stars, and then turned it into a weapon. It's insane.
Yeah.
But now it makes me as you said, the Manhattan Project was gonna have the atomic bomb be dropped on Germany. The only reason why it didn't happen is because we were too slow with building getting the bomb built and all that. But what would have happened if we just...
I mean, there was also a couple points where there was discussions of, should we make one big one or multiple small ones?
And then they went with
making two big ones, but like there's not that alternate scenario where mini nukes are a thing.
Oh God.
And then imagine how often those would have been used in warfare.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, what would be worse, one giant fuck you bomb or a bunch of multiple smaller fuck you bombs?
And then we also have the angle that we look at people in like the 80s and even the 70s and like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Was that the 70s?
That sounds about right. When was Nixon?
Cuban.
Nixon
wasn't the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, he wasn't?
Cuban Missile was 60s. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
You were close enough.
I was off by a decade.
Okay, a decade's only like 10. A power.
It was
10.
John F. Kennedy, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so we kind of mock them for the ever threat of nuclear war and like Armageddon at our door. And I can go on a whole side tangent if we already are in Armageddon with climate change, but the idea of the whole Armageddon, like nuclear winter and nuclear annihilation, that's a very real possibility. The thing is, that's still a very real possibility. It's just we stopped giving a shit around the 90s for some reason, and we just collectively were like, eh. And
yeah.
At any moment, the chain reaction can start. Literally any moment.
Yeah, like,
and the odds of it happening are only going up exponentially as we have people like Putin and Trump if he gets back in power. And
I guess the reason why the reason why we kind of stopped caring about like the Cold War and like nuclear like missile crises in the 90s is because I think at that I think the Red Scare was starting to like peter out and like when
the Soviet Union had fallen, air quotes.
Yeah.
We also had the 90s like thing of like it was up until that, but you also had the I call it like the Clinton mindset of like, oh, okay. It's like the neoliberalist thing of like we're at the end of history and everything can only get better and like the U.S. is the best it's at and all these economies are growing and booming and like Japan's becoming big with technology and Europe's becoming this like not a melting pot, like this mixture of things. Like the EU is starting. I think the EU started in the 90s.
That sounds about right.
And then Brazil was doing things.
Brazil was being Brazil.
Yeah, okay. The EU started in 1993. Okay. So I was right on that one. Anyway, you had that happen, and it was the neoliberal mindset of like we're in history.
We're at the peak.
That stopped, at least in the United States, on September 11th, 2001.
What happened then? Oh, right.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, no, you're not at the end of history. Things can very much not only get better.
Yeah, your actions can very much have consequences.
But then that became the whole America, fuck it.
Yeah, instead of like
grass and shit.
Instead of like having a pause of like, hey, maybe we should like rethink what's going on and maybe reinvent ourselves. We got insane amounts of fucking like patriotism and not like good patriotism, if that makes sense.
And then so I had that happen, and then like it's gonna be fast forwarding, but then we also had the housing market collapse, and it's like, yeah. And now, and not to go like on too much of like a side tangent or anything, but it's gonna sound weird being like me dunking on neoliberals saying that they're the end of history, but even when I was saying like we're kind of in Armageddon ourselves, but we are because so I'm not a paleontologist. I study a lot of paleontology. I'm a biologist though, but look at what's happening right now. Large scale temperature increase around the world, melting of the ice caps, rising CO2 levels, ocean acidification, mass habitat destruction, mass species die-offs. We're in a mass extinction.
Oh, sorry about the CO2 increases.
And it's mostly methane.
I know. I realized my mistake as it came out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's not good.
Anyway, random fact 69, the sexiest one. Every time you look away from me, I get closer.
The oldest football or soccer ball dates back to 1540, and it's half the size of a normal ball. Is made of the bladder of a pig.
Oh, hell yeah, I love balls.
The Honey War of 1839 was a bloodless conflict over the border between Missouri and Iowa, sparked by cutting down 3 honey trees.
More like 3 cunty trees, am I right? Hey, oh, no, that was bad, sorry.
Cold weather retains less water than warm weather. That's why dew appears.
Mountain Dew?
Sure.
Hey.
Queen Elizabeth II once visited the filming set of the series Game of Thrones. The production offered her to sit on the Iron Throne, and she refused.
That bitch was like, I already sit on an actual throne. Why would I sit on a fake one?
Yeah.
But then she fucking died, dumbass bitch. I'm kidding. Well,
no, her son's about to die.
What's going on with her son right now?
Oh no.
Does he have he has like some sort of cancer, and he's doing the stupid fucking like rich person thing of instead of actually getting it treated with medicine that actually works, because I'm a fucking royal and I have fucking healthcare out the ass. I'm gonna turn to fucking homeopathic I don't want to say fake shit, because obviously sometimes it works, but if you want to get rid of a fucking tumor, ayahuasca's not gonna do shit, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Prevailing local lore credits Shaka to Hamana Kali, who lost 3 middle fingers of his right hand while working on a sugar mill. Kali was shifted to guarding the sugar train, and his all-clear wave is said to have evolved to the Shaka as the children imitated the gesture.
Wait a minute. The fucking Shaka the hang loose thing,
yeah,
a guy lost his fingers?
Yep.
What the fuck, Richard?
Joyce Heath in 1835 was sold to P.T. Barnum and took a tour of the world displayed as the 161-year-old nurse of George Washington. And then celestial bodies are actually from the past due to how long it takes for light to travel back to Earth.
Random
question. Guys, gals. Oh, you were saying something?
No, I was just gonna ask a random question. If you had to participate in a sideshow, what would you be? Is that a weird thing to ask?
Well, obviously, I'd be the Yeti.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. I would be the man with the fattest tits. Anyway, bye, everyone.
Actually, there's multiple to be.
I said bye, everyone!